Welcome to the season of self-love, your daily dose of inspiration and encouragement. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. This podcast is brought to you by Acknowlege and Elevate Me Self-Discovery. Are you ready to elevate your mindset and embrace the power of self-love? Or have you come to the right place? Each day we'll dive into topics that will empower and inspire you on your journey towards self-discovery and personal growth. Whether you're looking to cultivate healthy relationships, boost your confidence, or find balance in your life, this podcast is here to support your every step on the way. We believe that self-love is the foundation of living a fulfilled and joyful life. And together we explore practical tips, insightful interviews, and transformative stories that will leave you feeling inspired and motivated. So join me Monday through Friday as we embark on this daily adventure of self-love. Tune in to the Season of Self-Love podcast to start your day on a positive note and discover the limitless potential within yourself. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is your girl, the Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love, and it is Monday, December 18, 2023. We are exactly a week away from Christmas. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. And you all got your shopping in, your Christmas shopping in. Well, today is all about acknowledge it, adjust it, correct it, and move on. Today we're going to dive deep into our journey that many of us find very challenging, yet crucial. The art of acknowledging our faults, making adjustments, correcting them, and finally moving on. This process is very vital in both our personal and professional growth. And I'm here to help guide you through each step with compassion and understanding, and also sharing my insights from my own experience. We're going to kick it off with acknowledge, and then we're going to talk about adjusting, correcting, and then we're going to move on. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. And then we'll start off with acknowledging what is going on in our lives right now, so then we can adjust it, correct it, and move on, all right? It's your girl, the Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast with Nyomi Banks, where every day is a chance to embrace self-discovery and personal growth. Join Nyomi on a transformative journey, streaming exclusively on Spotify and Breaker. With daily episodes from Monday through Friday, podcast is your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and self-love. Dive deep into engaging conversations about self-care, mindfulness, and personal development. Nyomi brings you expert insights, practical tips, and uplifting stories from thought leaders in the field. Embark on a journey of self-discovery and unlock the power of self-love. Mark your calendars and tune in to the Season of Self-Love podcast, available every weekday on Spotify and Spreaker. Remember, it's time to prioritize yourself and embrace the beautiful season of self-love. Get inspired and join Nyomi Banks on the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Hey, it's your girl, the Goddess Nyomi Banks, and make sure you tune in every Thursday night to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about everything from love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more. We're bridging the gap between them all, and we even talk about spiritual uplifting. You need to stop by Neon.com, Mike, as well as the BTG crew. We have some amazing guests that come through. You never know. Just make sure you tune in Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to xnyomi.com and tell them Nyomi sent you.
I often find myself feeling stuck in my life and like I'm not reaching my full potential. But with Elevate Me, self-discovery, I've been able to tap into my inner self and discover what I truly want out of life. Elevate Me, Self-Discovery is an incredible program that combines video learning, self-help, and amazing audio to guide you through a journey of self-discovery. From feeling freedom and guided meditation to self-love and empowerment, this program is perfect for anyone looking to unlock their full potential. Don't let life pass you by.
All right, well, welcome back. It's your girl, the Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love. And we're talking about acknowledge it, adjust it, correct it, and move on. But before we get into deep, let's go ahead and kick it off and do our breathing exercises, all right? All right, well, I want you to get comfortable. Get comfortable. Make sure that your feet are flat down on the ground. Yes. Now I want you to just sit back and just relax. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Now close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs completely. And I want you to count to 4 as you breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Hold your breath for a moment. At the top of your inhale, counting 4, slowly exhale through your mouth, releasing all the air from your lungs. And count out to 4 as you breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause for a moment. And at the bottom of the exhale, counting up to 4, repeat this deep breathing pattern for a total of 3 cycles. Let's do it 2. Hold. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale. Hold. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now I just want you to raise your hands above your head, palms up, open your hands. Yes. Breathe in, breathe out. Bring your arms down to shoulder length. Stretch. Turn your wrists forward, back. Bring your hands back to your lap. Do a nice little roll. Shoulder rolls back. Shoulder roll forward. Relax. Do a last breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And relax. All right. I know that was pretty quick, but I just wanted to make sure at least, we at least get something in there. All right. Well, today we're talking about acknowledge it, adjust it, correct it, and move on. And I believe I talked about a little about this last week because I was so excited about it. This was a saying that I had written down probably about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I had written it on my whiteboard that was on my wall. And as I was in the beginning of my healing process, of my growth process, my spiritual, really doing actionable work, this came to me, acknowledge it, adjust it, correct it, and move on. And more for me, it was more about me acknowledging my life and what choices that I've made. And then it was about adjusting it. Then it was about correcting it. And then it was about moving on from those choices and decisions I made. So today I chose to share with you all how I did that to better prepare you for the new year. For the next 2 weeks, this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about preparing you for the year of the domination, which is 2024 for me. And so I wanted to share that with you. And I said, what better way is to share, this acknowledge, adjust it, correct it, and move on topic. And so I just created a whole topic and a show of it. So first, let's talk about acknowledging. And it's about facing truth of our mistakes, our shortcomings, and the areas we need to improve. And I know last week I talked about that. I don't look at it as mistakes, but I look at them as choices. But until the world and everybody gets in that mindset of that mistakes, that for me there's no, and this is my thing, that for me there's no mistakes. I still need to speak in that language, but also explain to you that for me there is no mistakes. These are choices that I made, and some have been poor and some have been great. But in the process of me is acknowledging it, adjusting it, correcting it, and moving on from it. But also the steps requires us for self-awareness and a heart of acceptance. So I'll share with you my personal story that can kind of better help you to understand where I'm coming from in this. So when I truly realized that it was time for me to acknowledge it, adjust it, and move on, is when I realized about my fear of failure that was holding me back from acknowledging about change in my life. So I've had many career life forms, but transitioning from in front of the camera from the adult career to becoming a businesswoman and to building other entities, there was a sense of fear that I was having because I didn't know how the world was going to view me, or were they going to accept me? Because knowing that coming from such a different and very challenging career choice that I've made, that it's pretty hard for people to see you in a different way, or better yet, respect you in a different way. So for me, it took time and moments for me to understand that I have to acknowledge that this is a part of my truth. I was in the adult industry for many, many years, for over 10 years. That is what it is. That was my choice. So then my adjusting part of that came with is understanding and knowing that's what it is, but also how can I change this into a positive for myself, but not only that, but also for others. And then where the correction came from is started to building platforms where I can be able to share my story. And then the moving on is to continue to live with my head up high and walking in my purpose. So my purpose is a part of my moving on, if that makes sense. And so, as I said before, it took some time. It took a nice little time. I had retired from being in front of the camera over 10 years ago, in 2012, to be a matter of fact. And when I did come back in front of the camera on mainstream, it was for a non-sex role. It was just for an acting role, a speaking role, acting role, that I actually won my first and only AVN award. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? But then I was nominated for so many different things as well. I was nominated for my lingerie line, my lingerie company. I was nominated for other things other than sex. But for me to win an award or a non-sex act in a sex business was something, for me, was a big thing. But I'm going to tell you the truth, it still didn't take the fear out of making that next step. It still didn't. But now I see, now I understand it all. And even when I wrote that, acknowledge it, adjust it, correct it, and move on, I'm going to be very honest with you. It sat there for probably a year and a half before I really start taking this actionable steps towards it. It took about a year and a half before I start to take actionable steps towards this. And when I'm speaking to you right now about it, this is me living in my purpose, and this is me moving on. So mind you, I think I did this in the end of 2021. We are now in 2023. Yeah. But what it has done is truly has changed my life and where I look at things from a different perspective. It allowed me to open up more, to want to learn more, to want to see things differently, to want to change and elevate for the betterment of myself, but also to understand that my choices that I made was just of that. They were my choices, but also that I am able to use that as a learning for others. That it can truly help others that think that things are so perfect. You understand what I'm saying? That there is no perfection, excuse me. That I'm living my imperfect world to help encourage, inspire the world of healing, of self-love. So what I want to do is I want to take a quick break and I want to come back and I want to talk about adjusting. How can we adjust? And so I talked to you about how acknowledge and how I did it. But it's about living in your truth and understanding what it is, what choices you made. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to say mistakes, but if that's something that you want to continue to have in your vocabulary, that is fine. But know that once you start to acknowledge what it is, and then you choose to adjust it, to go to the next step, then you are on your way. You are definitely on your way. All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back. And as I said before, now we're going to talk about adjust. All right. It's your girl, D Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the season of self-love. And we'll be right back.
Are you ready to kickstart your journey to a healthier, more fulfilling life? Introducing Good Morning, My Sexy People, 90 Days to Kick Off Your Healing Living Journal by Nyomi Banks. This transformative journal is your personal guide to achieving physical, mental, and emotional well-being. With its easy-to-follow prompts and powerful exercises, you'll embark on a 90-day healing journey like no other. Each morning, as you open the pages of this journal, you'll discover thought-provoking questions, uplifting affirmations, and space to reflect on your progress. It's your secret weapon to breaking free from old patterns and embracing a healthier, sexier you. Say goodbye to self-doubt and hello to self-love. Good Morning, My Sexy People will empower you to make positive changes every single day. You'll develop healthy habits, cultivate gratitude, and unlock your true potential. Whether you're seeking to improve your fitness, boost your confidence, or find inner peace, this journal is your trusted companion. It's the support system you need to stay motivated, focused, and inspired throughout your journey. Don't wait another day to start living your best life. Good Morning, My Sexy People, 90 Days to Kick Off. Your Healing Living Journal by Nyomi Banks is available now on Amazon. Grab your copy today and begin your transformation. Remember, it's time to prioritize yourself, set your intentions, and unleash the sexy, vibrant person within. Get your copy of Good Morning, My Sexy People today, and let the healing begin.
All right, well, welcome back. It's your girl, D Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. And we're talking about acknowledge it, adjust it, correct it, and move on. I'm getting you ready for the year 2024, the year of domination. All right, so in the first segment, we talked about acknowledging your shortcomings and some of your poor choices, and as well as learning to how the need to improve in those aspects. But right now, we're going to talk about adjust. Next, we're exploring adjusting. Life throws curveballs, and how we can adapt to these changes defines our journey. By being flexible and open-minded is the key. I'll provide you with some practical strategies on making these adjustments, like the time I had to completely rethink my career path. Now, when life throws you a curveball, it's essential to be adaptable and resilient. And I have a few practical strategies for making adjustments for them. First, we need to have acceptance. Acknowledging the situation and accept that unexpected challenges as a part of life, and recognizing that change is inevitable and focus on finding solutions rather than dwelling on what wrong. The next is assessing the situation, taking a step back and to evaluate the impact of that curveball in your life and understand the scope of the problem, its implications, and how it affects your goals or your plans. The next one is reframe your mindset. Adopt a positive, growth-oriented mindset. Instead of seeing the curveball as a setback, view it as an opportunity for personal growth, learning, and adaptation. Embrace the challenge and believe in your ability to overcome it. Seek support. Reach out to family, friends, a support network to share your feelings and seek guidance, and connecting with others who have faced similar challenges and can offer valuable insights and perspective. All right, I want to freeze there for one moment, and let me tell you why. I'm getting ready to tell you this story. In 2012, I found out that I was pregnant. And before then, I remember being in London, me and my boyfriend, my fiance, that we were in London, and we were there for a good maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And we had a great time. And we literally was in Kensington. And I remember sitting there mapping out what we were going to do in the next few years. I was literally planning my retirement from in front of the camera on the adult side of things. And we literally had a whole plan out of everything that we were going to do in the next few years. So it was kind of like I was setting up, my retirement, but I was going to go out on top. You understand? And this was in January. This was at the end of January. So going to January and February, this is when this took place. So, mind you, I just came off of a nomination for AVN, as well as some other things. I just had, my pictures in several different mainstream magazines. So I was literally on top at this time. And so it was more of gearing to come out. At that time, I had my own record label. And so I was gearing up to release not only music of myself, but also music of a few of our artists. And, it was just gearing up to do a whole lot of things. And when I came home, I remember coming home, and I didn't even go straight home. I went to New York, and I was in New York for about a week with some friends and, and doing some work there and interviews and stuff like that. And I remember being in New York, and I'm getting a phone call from my aunt about my cousin, my loved one, who I created the Papa Lock Foundation, that they only gave him literally a few days, if not a few weeks, to live. And so I packed up my stuff there and went straight back to Chicago. And I was sitting, with her throughout the whole time. And I stayed there until he passed away. And even through that process of going through that, because not only was he my cousin, but he was also my god brother. And we all used to do everything together. And he died of MS. And for years, I had created the Winner Date with Nyomi. It was done every March, during March Madness. And the money that I will raise from that, I will give that to him, to my aunt, who was the caregiver of her, to help with the things that he needed during that time. And so, So in that process, as I'm there, I'm feeling very ill and not understanding why I'm feeling this ill. So then on my way back from, everything that happened in Chicago, the funeral and stuff. So I'm on my way back to LA, back home. And I'm just really sick. And I'm like, oh my God, the last time I felt like this was 11 years ago when I was pregnant. And with that pregnancy, I literally had to get help with that pregnancy. And that's a whole nother story. But it was told to me that I would not be able to have any children unless I went on the same process that I did before that there was no way of me getting pregnant. So just for shits and giggles, I went on and took a pregnancy test. And matter of fact, I took 5 because they kept saying that it was positive. And I was like, there is no way, because I did not go through any of anything. I didn't take no fertility drugs. I didn't take no shots. I didn't do any of those things. So I'm like, how is this possible? So I'm thinking this is the wrong time for me to go through this, because this is my career is on a high. My career is on a high. I have this radio show with Playboy. I just, been nominated. I just was in things. So we sat down in London with a plan, with a whole plan on what's going to happen, everything is going to happen without the year. And no lie, I contemplating on having an abortion for a quick second, and that just went out the door. I said, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. And so me and my baby, we sat there and we discussed. Mind you, he didn't have any children. So we sat and we discussed. And I said, okay, we're going to work through this. Mind you, I'm 39 years old. 39 years old with two kids, one 19 going on 20. Yes, a 10-year-old that's going on 11. And now I'm pregnant with my 3rd child. All right. So I'm like, oh my God, my career is just about over. Like, what is happening here? And I had some bookings. I had some events that I had to, go, and I go in to the doctor, and of course they tell me that this is a high risk pregnancy, that I will have to be on bed rest the whole entire time, that from my thyroids to everything was overacting, and it was very detrimental that I stay in the bed. So even before I went to the doctor, I did film one more scene, and this was before I started to show, and that was for Girlfriend's Film. And I remember sitting on that set, and I said, this might be the last time that I do this, because I remember having these conversations in my car on my way to set when I asked God to give me a sign when it's time for me to leave. I remember saying that every year, every year, every day, every time I was booked for something on my way, that was my prayer to God in my car. When you are ready for me to leave, to stop doing this, you will give me a sign. Mind you, I've been with this man for 10 years throughout my whole industry, even before, and never once had a pregnancy scare or anything. So I was thinking exactly what the doctor said, you will not be having any more kids unless you go what you went through before, and I wasn't going through that anymore. So that was a sign for me that it was time for me to leave from in front of the camera. And then there was a whole lot of other stuff that was going on too in the industry at that time. So not only was that a sign for me, but also it was a sign for protection for myself as well, in my body, in my form. So adjusting to that and trying to understand what am I going to do now was a whole different thing. So when I say of acceptance, I had to accept that this is my reality right now, that I am a 39-year-old woman that's in the adult industry, pregnant. No, now let me correct it. I'm pregnant by my fiance, not by anyone on the scene. Because even though I shot in that year, I didn't shoot a lot. I don't even think I shot in the beginning of 2012. I think I shot maybe one movie in 2012, and that was the Girl movie for Girlfriend Film. But I remember sitting and thinking and trying to assess the situation. And no lie, it took me 9 months to assess this situation. It took me the whole entire time that I was on my bed rest. And if you heard any of the shows before, even on Acknowlege and Bridging the Gap, I had created a whole closet, my prayer closet, to where I had to go in there and I had to, and I don't want to say tear myself down because that's not what it is, but what I had to do is I had to go in there and dissect my whole being of who I am and where I'm going and what does this mean. And then I had to start to have to reframe my mindset. Because now that this is happening, now I need to realize, okay, why is this happening? What am I supposed to be doing now? Okay, this is a positive thing because now it's a lot of stuff that's going on in the industry that I could have very well been on some of those sets that it didn't affect me. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So then it comes to now I'm seeking support. I remember late at night calling my uncle who is a pastor. I said was like pastor, that is a pastor. And even speaking to my sister and knowing that there was something that was going on within me that I didn't understand. And this is what started my spiritual journey, my true spiritual journey. And I remember going back and forth to church. I remember even going back and rebaptizing on Palm Sunday, a matter of fact. It was Palm Sunday of 2013. And I remember cutting my hair off, shaving all of my hair off, and just kind of trying to cleanse my whole body of everything. And but then when I did that and I got in a different space and a place and understood what that time and that season was over with. So now what to do? So then I had to create a plan. And so remember, I was still on the radio. But then we were hit with, now we were no longer going to be on the radio. Some people would go over to Vivid and some people wouldn't. But in that process, I had created my own radio station with several different shows on there. So it was like I was always trying to stay ahead of the game and not kind of shake. But I also needed to stay, what I thought is I needed to stay where I was at with the adult theme. Does that make sense? And then from there, then I started to move further and further along. But why I shared this story, this part of the story with you, because I wanted to tell you the strategies that I did. So the ones that I just read to you about acceptance, assessing the situation, reframing your mindset, and seeking support. I just told you everything in an example of what I did in this process. And I created a plan. All right, the next one is flexibility and resilience. Be open to adjusting your plans and expectations and embrace flexibility and adaptability. As you navigate through the changes, stay resilient and remember that setbacks are temporary and you have the strength to overcome them. So I did my own radio station for about 2 years. And financially, because remember, I was no longer really filming on camera for mainstream, but I was still doing custom videos. I was still doing dom work. So I still had sessions and stuff like that, but I wasn't in front of the camera. So I was doing dom session where there was no interchanging of any sexual. It was just all of the domination thing. So, but then I shut my radio station down because I thought that I misread a sign. When I was going through these financial difficulties at that moment, when I had the radio station, and I remember, like, should I continue with this? And I was looking for a sign from God, and what I thought was a sign from God was actually my grandmother passing, and her name is Ethel. And I remember coming to Las Vegas for AVN that week because I was signing for a company. And as soon as I get off the plane and go through, I see Ethel chocolates. So for me, my station was called Chocolate Radio, I figured, okay, all right. At first, I'm like, okay, this is my grandmother telling me I need to keep going forward with it. As I'm in Vegas that Sunday, I get a phone call. Well, actually, I'm on my way home. I get a phone call that my grandmother is rushed to the hospital. Mind you, I forgot. Let me go back forward. I had saw the death angel a week earlier. All right. Now, my grandmother was healthy. She was dealing with a little dementia and stuff like that, but overall, she was healthy. And that was on that Sunday. They let her come home, so I figured that was okay. When I woke up Monday morning, I get another phone call that they had to rush my grandmother back to the hospital again. And in this moment, they say, can you get home now? Because they're only giving her a few hours to live. So I got on the first flight smoking back to Chicago, and by the time I got to her, she had already passed away. So as I'm sitting on the side of her deathbed in tears, and I'm like, was that you to tell me to let Chocolate Radio go? So the death of her was the death of Chocolate Radio at that moment. All right. So then I had to try to figure something out. I had to try to figure something out like, okay, this is how am I going to continue to do what I love to do and, have my business, do everything that I said in my plans. I had to restructure it. Now, how can I restructure it? And then I created a whole nother business. And that was my makeup business. And then I had to restructure that and do my lingerie business. Then I restructured, you know what I'm saying? And I was restructuring and just, kept doing things until it ended to where I am now. To where I am now. But I had to be flexible with those changes. And let me be very honest. I wasn't always so flexible with those changes. What I learned in the past few years of these changes is that to take better care of myself, to understand where those anxiety attacks come from when switching or changing off to these different things, and celebrate in the moment when good things are happening during those times. Before, I was moving, and really wasn't celebrating it. And then when I look at it now, is that you were having success in certain things, and instead of you celebrating those moments and being grateful for those moments, then you were so busy trying to get to the next that I didn't have time to really celebrate them at that moment. But now I'm able to understand what self-care is and take care of myself, but also to learn from the experience, that now I'm able to reflect back on the lessons that I've learned from this curveball. And I've gotten several, if you listen to what I just said, I've gotten several different curveballs coming from all ways. And I know you probably asked, well, Nyomi, where did the poor choice come from all the other ones? The thing is the domino effect. And not that going into the adult industry was a poor choice that I feel, but as society deems it to being a poor choice. I understand what that choice is, and I understand why I did that. But remember, I'm out here having a voice and putting it out to the world. And so now I do have to navigate through the world with judgment, through the world with putting their shame on me, through the world of their misunderstanding who I am. Does that make sense? But for me, I've adjusted in my world on what it is. And that's the most important to me. And that should be the most important thing to you on how you adjust to it. I want you to remember when making adjustments, when life throws you a curveball, requires patience, perseverance, and a willingness to adapt. And with time and effort, you can navigate through any unexpected situation and come out stronger on the other side. All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back. And we're going to talk about how we correct this, okay? It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love. And we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Dog Pound Mike, Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap podcast. Come check us out every week. And remember, I'm no relationship expert. I just tell it like I hear from the kennel. Get back at it.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast with Nyomi Banks, where every day is a chance to embrace self-discovery and personal growth. Join Nyomi on a transformative journey, streaming exclusively on Spotify and Breaker. With daily episodes from Monday through Friday, podcast is your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and self-love. Dive deep into engaging conversations about self-care, mindfulness, and personal development. Nyomi brings you expert insights, practical tips, and uplifting stories from thought leaders in the field. Embark on a journey of self-discovery and unlock the power of self-love. Mark your calendars and tune in to the Season of Self-Love podcast, available every weekday on Spotify and Spreaker. Remember, it's time to prioritize yourself and embrace the beautiful season of self-love. Get inspired and join Nyomi Banks on the Season of Self-Love podcast.
All right, and welcome back. It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. And today we're talking about acknowledge it, adjust it, correct it, and move on. Oh, and I just realized I must have did a lot of talking that last segment. All right, so we're going to dive straight in real quickly. We're going to talk about correcting. It said it's not just about identifying what's wrong. It's about taking steps to fix it. This segment, we will offer you tips in problem solving and finding solutions. And also, I will share with you a few individuals that have taken the the poor choices that they made into stepping stones for growth. All right. So here's a few problem solving and finding solutions. And here's some tips. First of all, define the problem clearly. Start by defining the problem you're facing. This involves breaking down the issues into specific components and understanding its underlying causes. By identifying the root cause, you can better focus on your efforts on finding an effective solution. Gathering information. Collect as much relevant information as possible about the problem. This includes gathering data, taking stakeholders, conducting research, and seeking expert advice. The more information you have, the better equipped you are in understanding the problem and explore potential solution. So I know you're like, Nyomi, for real, let me tell you something. I remember for every business that I've created, I've done my research, even into the adult industry. When I said I did my research, I was at the library, Googling stuff, because at that time, that was back in 2006, late 2005, 2006, I think 2006. And I didn't have a computer. Well, really back then you really didn't have a computer that you was, that I had anyway. So I had to go to the library with the internet and stuff like that. And there I was able to research some things, look up some things, and do stats. I was looking through everything, the genre, like I broke it down. There was even a course book. And it's so funny that when I was cleaning out my storage area and removing, some of the old stuff, I saw the big book that I had purchased about entering into the adult industry. And I looked through it and I saw a whole lot of stuff that I outlined in there. So I'm a constant researcher. I'm always jotting down. I have probably 100, maybe 1,000 different notebooks with different ideas and highlights and, different stickers and stuff like that in there. So I'm a constant person that loves to learn. I just love it. I'm just a sponge, and I took that to every business that I had, and even when I was creating in my own business plans, literally. Actually, like looking at different stocks. So when I was doing my cosmetic line, I was looking at some of the big names and how much their stocks were selling, because I knew at that moment I was private. But when I take this company public, like I was thinking and making plans all the way out that way. And I do that for every business that I create, that I do. So when I say gather information, that's what you do. Whatever your situation is. This applies to everything, both your personal and your professional life. Also, analyze the situation. Take a step back and analyze the situation objectively. Look for patterns, trends, or common factors that may contribute to the problem. One of my biggest problems is that I had fear. Fear of the unknown. And another one, patience. What I did was I took everything that I was dealing with. I figured, because I've been on this earth for 40 plus years, this was before 40 plus years, is that I've waited long enough, not thinking, no, this is a new chapter. This is a new chapter in your life. So those years before, you only can use them as experiences. As experiences as to take them here, but not as how long you've been doing this in this chapter. Does that make sense? So even me, even though I've had a radio show, even though I was very popular in, adult industry, I'm still right now with this podcast going in 2 years, 3 seasons, that I'm still a baby. I'm still new. Because not only that, but I'm showing myself in a whole total different light than they even saw me in before. So in my mind, okay, I got a 3-year plan, I got a 5-year plan, I got a 10-year plan. Now I've learned, even though I have those plans, I'm also willing for those plans to change. I'm also willing to be patient with what comes with the progress of them. Does that make sense? That I'm willing to be, patient with it, because now I understand that what's meant for me will be for me. And I know that all of this is going to be successful, but in the process, there are things that I'm learning. And things and changes that I have to do for myself to be able to be open to receive it all. That's about the generated alternative solutions, brainstorm, generate range, evaluate and choose the best solution, implement the solution, and reflect and learn. I'm sorry, I just had to go through this because we still got one more to go through, but we're going to come back with this later on in next year because I want to bring it back up again. And I know we just got a short period of time and I can do a whole lot of talking, but that's about correcting. It's about understanding what it is and you putting in the work in to correct it, doing the research to know how to correct it. Going and do the research on how to correct it, and even go getting the needed help to help correct whatever the choice that you made, because somewhere it triggered you to make that choice, so you won't continue to make the choice, if that makes sense. If hopefully I did not run it all together, but I'm trying to make it all come together for you all. All right, and so our last segment is to move on from it. And in the beginning of the hour, I had said that for me, the moving on is me living in my purpose. And it's me sitting on this podcast now and on the Ask Nyomi podcast and sharing my experience with the world, but also inspiring, encouraging them, not only for self-love, but to be open to change, to be open to see something different, to be open to other people's perspectives in their lives. For me, that is what moving on for me. And even though moving on can be the hardest thing, letting go of past mistakes, choices, failures is crucial in our mental health and future success. Early on, the past few weeks, we talked about resilience. We talk about resilience. And we talk about how that resilience helped with everything. As a matter of fact, we talked about it just last week. And so I just want to quickly speak about that real quickly. All right, so moving on is truly embracing a forward-thinking mindset, okay? Is embracing a forward-thinking mindset. And when embracing a forward-thinking mindset, what is very crucial for adapting to change and pursuing innovation and achieving long-term success, I have a few strategies that will definitely help you to do that. One is develop a growth mindset. Embrace the belief that you have your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. Emphasize growth over fixed abilities and view challenges as opportunities for growth and improvement. 2, stay curious. Cultivate a sense of curiosity and a thirst of learning. Stay up to date with the latest trends, technologies, and ideas in your field, and actively seek out knowledge and explore different perspectives. For me, this has been something that's been very beneficial for me and what I am doing right now. Literally, it has truly helped me to stay current in everything knowledgeable. When there are classes and stuff that I'm taking those classes, I'm there, whether it be online or whatever. I'm like I said, my mind is like a sponge. I'm grabbing, getting anything. It's like it's a thirst hunger to just feed for the knowledge. Embrace uncertainty. Accept the future inherently uncertain and unpredictable. That's something that I truly learned in the past year and a half. That honestly, nothing is guaranteed. But now I know how to react to those changes. Encourage creativity and innovation. Foster a culture of creativity and innovation in your personal and your professional life. Generate new ideas. Don't be afraid to step out there. Practice strategic thinking. Seek a diverse perspective. Surround yourself with individuals who have different backgrounds, experience, and viewpoints. And the last one, set goals and create action plans. Define clear, measurable goals that align with your long-term vision. And remember, we talked about this last week on breaking those goals down into small, manageable ones first. To where we are taking that first step. We are getting off those knees and we're now going onto our feet and we're taking those first steps and we're walking up, as I say, my building, my skyscraper. So whatever, how you vision yours, then do it that way. But remember, developing a forward-thinking mindset is an ongoing process and it requires continuous learning, reflection, and adaptation to navigate the challenges and opportunities that arises in our ever-changing world. All right, I know I just sped through the last two, but the show is under an hour, and I'm trying to keep it like that, as that. So I ask that you truly have some grace with me on this one. But again, I've loved that you all are here and you listen to me daily on here, and that you're willing to share this intimate space with me. As we wrap with this, a sneak peek into our upcoming episode, we'll be, as I speak before, we'll be talking about several different things. I even have a show where we will be talking about preparing our incentives and intentions for next year, for 2024, as well as Christmas. I will be doing an early morning Christmas show to help with our celebration there as well, and how we can, especially losing loved ones, how we can still be able to celebrate the holiday season with that. But again, I thank you for joining me on this season of Self Love Podcast. And for more information, follow us on social media handles. But until next time, keep growing, keep loving, and remember, every day is a new opportunity to become a better version of yourself. All right, have a good one. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for listening to the Season of Self-Love Podcast. If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, you can follow us on social media. Just search for the Season of Self-Love on Instagram. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to email us at elevateme9999@gmail.com. And remember, you are worthy of love, growth, and happiness. So keep shining bright, and I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Season of Self-Love. Be good to one another and yourselves, and always keep it sexy. Sending light, love, and prayers.